is Jennifer Felix. This message is for my indigenous people. What does it mean to be indigenous? Okay, indigenous. Indigenous means that you were there first, wherever you're located at. Many of us come from many indigenous tribes. Indigenous. Indigenous is not just a word, it's a way of life. Okay. It's our practices, um, our ancestral practices, our ancestral ways. Indigenous to me is my ancestral ways. Um, for so long, we've been taught that our indigenous way. Let me move up here. For so long, we've been told our indigenous way um, is not a good way. Okay. A lot of us have been indoctrinated as far as religion. Okay. In our in If you look at the indigenous cultures from all around the world, right? We have a way of living. We have a belief system. Okay. Our belief systems comes from our ancestors, in our indigenous ways. If you guys don't know, if you're new to my channel, I have Taino. My tribe is Taino. I have Arawak in me somewhere. Okay, but most of my makeup is Taino. Okay. I remember when I did my indigenous tests, and it came back with my indigenous tribe, which I already knew my indigenous tribe. A lot of you guys out here don't know your indigenous tribes. Um, some of you guys may know, some of you guys may not. Many of us have many indigenous tribes makeup. What I mean makeup is in our DNA. A lot of black people, um, I notice a lot of indigenous people know their indigenous tribe, right? We even have names in our indigenous tribes. And I'm so glad that I was raised the indigenous way. Even though my family may have practiced certain religions, we never forgot where we came from. And we were also taught that our indigenous ways were um, bad. Um, and sometimes our indigenous practices were forbidden to be even practiced. The reason why they forbid us from practicing our indigenous ways is because when we practice our indigenous ways, that is our true self. Okay, that true self carries true knowledge. That true self carries true wisdom. Okay. And I'm so glad that I had the chance to learn about my indigenous ways through my grandmothers, through my aunties, through my dad. Um, they always kept the culture alive, the ways of the culture. A lot of you guys may say, Jen, I'm in my 40s, and I remember everything that I was being taught. Okay. And I still practice my indigenous ways today. Okay. And my indigenous ways are passed down to my children. They still practice the ways. Um, there is things I talk about, and then there's things I don't talk about. Okay. And I feel like in society, we feel ashamed, um, especially the ones I have friends on, my sisters from different clans. I welcome you here. and brothers from different clans. Um, we are all one. Okay. I have a lot of indigenous sisters that follow me, that love me, and I love them back. I call them my sister because they're not just my friend, they're my sisters. Okay. They come from different clans, different backgrounds, different tribes. Okay. But we all have a lot in common. Okay. We have a lot in common. And my indigenous sisters that are on here, that I speak to on a daily basis, I love you guys. I really do. I love your encouraging words. Not just your encouraging words, things that you might send me. You guys are always sending me stuff. And you guys are always inviting me to your powwows, your ceremonies. I appreciate it so much. I cannot wait. I'm going to be going home soon, okay, to my dad's tribal land. And there will be ceremonies performed, not just ceremonies. I will be meeting with the chiefs. I cannot wait, you guys. And it's crazy because my dad, when he came here to the Americas, he still kept his indigenous ways. So did my grandmother. So did my great grandmother. And they took the knowledge and the wisdom and the life experiences that they had coming from Puerto Rico, and they brought it here to the United States. A lot of you guys know my great grandmother and my grandmother were healers. People used to come visit them, you guys, in their homes. In their homes. And my grandma had a real good friend. She was Cuban. And people used to come there for healing, different kind of healing. So she was a healer, but she wasn't just a healer. She was like a counselor. She was a giver. She had wisdom. She had life experiences. And it's very interesting because I look at the old way. I'm getting everybody emailing me. I look at the old way, and a lot of us are losing the old way. The old way of living, the old way of our practices. We should never forget our old ways. The younger generation, they're not too worried about the old ways. It's funny because I try to teach my grandson the old ways. And I remember when I was young, I was being taught the old ways, and some things would just pass right over me. Because you're young, and you're like, what are you talking about? Or what is that, right? But then as you get older, it leaves an imprint on you, right? So I had my grandson, I'll tell you guys a story, and I was trying to teach him something, okay? And he was like, Grandma, this doesn't make sense. And I said to him, I said, it might not make sense now, but in the future, and at a time, not just in the future, a time that I won't be here. This wisdom and knowledge, right? That's how I said it to him, wisdom and knowledge. And he looked at me like, you can carry this with you. And always remember that your grandmother taught you this, okay? We even look at like our Black grandmothers. They had so much wisdom, so much knowledge, so much life experiences. Very strong women. I come from a bloodline of very strong women. A lot of you guys come from a bloodline of strong women. And even if you don't come from a bloodline of strong women, you are a strong woman, right? We carried children. We went through life experiences. And it was nice having the grandmothers around because you could go to them for wisdom and knowledge. And they were teaching us, right? And sometimes we forget those lessons. And sometimes we will remember something very small, and it becomes something big, right? And then we teach our children, and then down from our children, we teach our grandchildren. Okay. So one thing I was working on with my grandson and my granddaughter, and I have another grandson, um, is meditation. Okay, meditation is a big thing. Both my grandchildren know how to meditate. They know how to do other things. Um, but yeah, meditation. When they get overwhelmed um, or overstimulated, they can go into a quiet space, go within, and have time to meditate and really think things through. Okay. So the grandchildren, the children may not understand now, but they will understand when they get older, when they go through life experiences. Okay. We leave an imprint on our children, we leave an imprint on our grandchildren, we leave an imprint on this world, right? This dimension, this world. We're interdimensional beings. All of us leave an imprint, okay? This is why words are very powerful. Not just words, our actions, our intent. And it's so crazy because, like, I see a lot of this new age, I wouldn't even call them healers because some are healers in their own ways. Um, but for me, the old way is the best way. Okay. Um, and the reason why I say the old way is because the old way is more efficient. The old way, there's a lot of knowledge in the old way. This new way of things, um, where everybody thinks they're possessed or somebody's doing witchcraft. Sometimes it's just is connected. Okay, I'm live. so sometimes, so sometimes we think that um, bad things are happening to us because of witchcraft, but sometimes it's parasites. We need to practice and practice on cleaning our body. Okay. A parasite cleaning. Okay. I've been cleaning my body from parasites. Um, Parasites are all in our body, but these are parasites we don't want in our body, right? So you have to do a detox, the cleaning, um, physically and spiritually. Okay. So I just want to reach out to you guys, my indigenous brothers and sisters from all tribes, all lands. You can drop your tribal down below. I have a lot of tribal sisters here. A lot. I have people from that are from the Aborigine, from different nations. I love all you guys, and it's very interesting with my sisters from different nations. They have many different tribes. They carry one tribal name, and they belong to one tribe. Zulu. You drop it down, put it down below. Okay. Somebody said they're from the Zulu. We have many tribes out here. Um, and it was interesting because my mother's tribe is the Yoruba. Okay, Yoruba tribe. Okay, which I knew that. Okay. So when I got the test back, I knew. Okay, I already knew, but it just validated it. It just validated it for me. I have one sister. She might be on here. She's so beautiful. She's a seer. She did a test, and she knew she was one tribe, but she was like 4 different tribes. The collective group is called Nanjina. Nanjina. Okay. So drop your tribe below. My tribe is Taino and it is Arawak, because the Tainos and the Arawak, um, Nanjina. Okay, so drop your tribe below, um, and it's very interesting. The Hawaiians, the Hawaiian people are also part of my tribe. Our tribe went to Hawaii. The Hawaiians, okay, the Hawaiians, yes. So I have Hawaiian blood in me, okay. Um, the Tainos were all the way in Hawaii. What I'll tell you a story about one of my Mexican indigenous sister. She got her results back. Very psychic, very psychic, but she's a seer. Okay, so she knew what tribe she came from the area she grew up, but she didn't know the other tribes. And she called me and she was so excited. And one of the tribes that she comes from is a very ancient tribe. Okay. And now she understands why she has certain gifts. Okay. So somebody says Hawaiian pizza. Oh my God. Thank you for that. Yes. Hawaiian. They like the pineapple. Yeah. So people that are Hawaiian have Taino. Their ancestors are the Taino too. Okay. And I have Hawaiians on here. A lot of their ways are our ways. A lot of their things they do is the same things we do. I was shocked to know that my Taino tribe was in Hawaii. It was like, wow, we were in Hawaii. So drop your tribe down below, your nation down below, and I'm sending you guys nothing but love for my males and my females. Okay. Um, I love my tribal people. Okay, I love them. So I want to say one more thing before I end this. So a lot of tribal people from different nations went to schools, right? These schools were American schools that stripped them from their practice of their tribal way. Okay. Um, and these children that went to these schools could feel lost in this world, right? They could feel lost between their tribal ways and the ways that we were taught, okay, in doctrine, okay, from the Western society. Um, Hi, sister. I just saw the most beautiful thing ever. A bunch of doves glittering in the sky, dancing. I'm in tears. It was so beautiful. I had to share with you guys. Oh, that's so beautiful. Um, it's very interesting when you see that the doves glittering in the sky and dancing. Our ancestors. Many indigenous tribes believe in our ancestors. We don't always come in as humans. Okay, we come in many lifetimes as animals. They look like diamonds. Wow, beautiful. Somebody says we got the same vegetation in Southern Africa and South America, and our women are very beautiful both in America here in Africa. Yes, indigenous women are gorgeous. Even the men are gorgeous. I seen a indigenous man. Um, yes, that is your ancestors, and they're just saying that they're there. So remember, I always say treat animals like you would treat your loved one because those animals are your loved one. Okay. And sometimes we don't come in as a human, we come in as the animal. Okay. It's very interesting because my name in my tribe is Turtle. Okay. I'm not gonna give you the full name, but it's Turtle. um that name. Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that. Your cousin, that's your cousin. She wanted to show you that. She wanted to give you hope, April. Hope. They do that to give us hope. They do that to let us know that they're around. To let us know that they're okay. Um, oh wow, she passed away from cancer. I'm so sorry. They do that to give us hope. Sometimes he comes to me as an eagle. An eagle. Okay, eagle. All right. He comes to me as an eagle. Okay, not a human, an eagle. Okay. And it's crazy because my dad loved eagles. And we used to go and fish in a certain area, and we used to watch the eagles fly. So my dad guides me as an eagle, okay? So when I go places and my dad's up there in the sky, I know it's my dad, okay? I went somewhere recently and the eagle landed and looked right at me, okay? Yes, I went to my old, where I grew up in Pennsylvania. It was in the country. And I haven't been there in years. And something in my spirit told me to go. Okay? Because my step grandmother was going to pass. And I knew that day when I went there, because I haven't been back there, you guys, and since I was young. Since I was young, I don't even know if I was 12, 11, 10. I never went back there. So I was coming back from the airport and I had to pass that way. And something told me to stop and see her. You guys, when I stopped and seen her, okay, I see my stepsisters. I haven't seen them in years. We just broke down and cried. My dad landed as an eagle right there in the field across from me. There was two. There was an eagle and a crow. Okay, so I have two spirit animals watching over me, which is one a crow and one is the eagle. They're always watching over me, but the eagle is my dad. I know who the crow is. Okay, so the eagle landed, looked right at me, and that was my dad saying, "Thank you." Okay, he know I needed that. Okay, so he looked, stopped. The eagle flew around. It was like he was directing me. Then he landed across from me on the cornfield. And I went to see my step grandmother, and that was the last time I seen her, and she passed away. Okay? But I knew that I had to go back to see her and say my goodbye. Okay? I knew when I got there that would be the last time I was going to see her. I knew when I left that was going to be the last time I seen her. Okay? I knew both things. Okay? I knew when I got there that was going to be my last time seeing her. When I hugged her and seen her, I knew that was going to be the last time. Okay? And I had to go back. Okay? I had to go back. I had to say my goodbyes. She passed away from cancer too. She was in her 80s, strong woman. This is my stepmother's mother, okay? Um, and she died not too long ago, okay? But I said my goodbyes, okay? All right, you guys. All right, so drop. Yeah, so okay, so when we come in as a human, right? We don't always come in as a human. Now they won't teach you this in the textbooks. Okay? They won't teach you this in any books, okay? We come in sometimes as humans in some lifetimes. Some lifetimes we come in as animals, okay? This is why you have to treat these animals with respect, okay? Because the animals have souls, my friends, okay? I remember there was an Amish man, and there was sickness on him. And I was getting Marley at the time, my dog. And I told him, I said, Marley has a soul. Okay. Yes, I love animals. I said, Marley has a soul. You know what the Amish man told me? Because certain Amish don't believe in animals have souls. Okay. They don't understand that. Okay. Or that they can't even understand that or understand that concept. Okay. But not all lifetimes we come in as humans. Okay. Some lifetimes we come in as animals. Okay. Yes. Animals. Okay. I just went to my grandma's grave after 10 years. Yes, and the grave is very interesting. They know when you visit the grave, but they're not in the grave. The reason why they have the cemeteries, the reason they have the cemeteries is just to it's a money making business. The funeral homes, the cemeteries, is a money making business, right? But when you leave your physical body, your temple, right? You're in your spirit body. That grave, that stone, that the dirt doesn't mean nothing. Okay? So it's a money making business. Okay? I have crossed a lot of souls over. Okay? I'm like, am I here to just cross souls over? Like, is that my job here? Because I have crossed many souls over. Okay. Which is why in Africa it's so rare for us to slaughter a cow. It's a slaughtering a person. Yes. So if you ever have to kill an animal, okay, to eat, what you're going to do is you're going to kill the animal, right? Then you're going to ask the animal for forgiveness, okay? And explain to the animal, I'm killing you to eat, okay? They will understand that, okay? If you have to kill an animal to eat, you never kill an animal to kill. There's a difference. You have people out here that will kill animals to kill. That is not our way, okay? Never was our way, okay? Make sure the other do not see that. Make sure the others don't see what? Do not see that. It has to be very, very important. Yes, exactly. So you do not, it was so, yes. So, yes, that is sacred. People don't understand that even when indigenous people, when we kill any kind of animal, we said things over the animal, and some animals were buried. The cows will hold a funeral for the killed cow. Yes, they know when one of their cows are being slaughtered. And they will hold their own funeral, but their funeral is different. They will make noises, the cows. We prayed over the animals, right? And then we sent them to the life after, okay? My dad would pray over the animal and ask the deer and the elk for forgiveness and thank them. Yes. So you would pray over that animal, close the animal's eyes, and ask that animal for forgiveness and explain to them that you killed them because you needed food to eat. Okay. There is a difference between killing an animal to kill. Okay. That is not our way. Okay. Our way is killing an animal to eat. Okay. If you're out here killing animals just to kill, you need to be careful. Okay. But if you're killing animals to eat, that is different. Okay, my friends? There's a difference between killing an animal to kill and killing an animal to eat. Okay? Because you might come back in the next lifetime and be that animal, the ones that just like to kill and be killed the same way you killed. Yes, they have feelings and souls, and they have spirits. They have spirits. I've been places where I come in contact with a lot of animal spirits, and they're fully on before they why they were here and when they crossed over. Okay, they're fully aware of all of it. Okay. Um, there was an American hunter who killed my by a buffalo here. Yeah. So what happened was the reason why the buffalo killed him is because he was just there to kill. So you will see incidents where in Africa where you'll see a tiger attack somebody or a buffalo attack somebody or a lion attack somebody. They know those people are there to kill. Animals have instincts, okay? They know when somebody's around that is there to kill, okay? All animals have instincts, just like humans have instincts, okay? And we tend to forget that these animals don't have instincts. And the reason why that buffalo killed that man is because that American hunter is because he probably killed many more than just buffalo, okay? And that buffalo came to take his life, okay? All right, so drop your tribe down below, you guys. All right, animals have spirits. I have been around people. I did readings on people, and sometimes the ancestors or the person won't step forward. It's the animal that steps forward. I just did a read with somebody, and their cat stepped forward. Their cat, okay, just like my cat Storm. Storm has a soul. I treat him with respect and love and kindness. Okay. Um, which is why we should watch what we eat because they could smell it on them. Yes. So what happens too, I'm glad you said that, which is why we should watch what we eat because they could smell it on them. Yes, they can smell it. Okay. They can smell the death. They can smell all that. Even if you kill some like animal like a month ago, they can still smell that death of that animal on you. That's why many indigenous cultures do certain things so that smell is not on them. Okay. Yes. Okay. Me and my cat that passed made a pact to meet again when it's my turn. Yes, you will meet your cat. You will meet your animal when you pass away. Sometimes the animals will come get you. Okay. So if it's a cat, a dog, they'll come and get you. Okay. I did reading just recently. Yes, you have to do a cleansing. I just did a reading recently and oh my gosh. The cat came forward and I was talking to the lady and I said, "Did you have a cat?" Cuz the cat is coming forward. The cat is saying that they love you and they're around you, okay? The cat, okay? So thank you guys so much. This is Jennifer Felix. Drop your tribe below, okay? Drop your tribe below. Yes, respect animals. Even when you kill an animal, people are out here killing animals and they don't understand that there is a way of doing things. Also, not a way of just doing things. There's things you have to do after you kill the animal, okay? And things you have to do when you kill the animal, okay? And a lot of people don't know this, but they should know this. So they're just out here hunting and not understanding the hunt is to get the food to eat. The hunt is not to kill. It is to kill, but not just to kill, but the hunt to eat. Okay, there's a difference. Okay. Yes, cats have been a part of us centuries, even in the ancient Atlantis and Africa. Yes. My cat that I have with me, Storm, has been with me in many lifetimes. Okay. Storm. He has been with me in Atlantis. Okay. He's like my guardian. Um, this is why when you have cats, they will know when people or things are around you, they will see them. Okay. He is my guardian. Okay. He was sent to me to be my guardian. I am his guardian. Many of us are guardians, okay, of where we're at. And Cat's Storm is my guardian. Storm comes from an ancient bloodline. Okay, the bloodline he comes from, some of you guys might not even heard of the bloodline. They're called the Lyrans. Okay, the Lyrans. Okay, that's where he comes from, the Lyrans. He was sent here to protect me. Okay, I had a guy that came through a portal, and I don't know if he was my husband. He came with a lion. He came with, no, not a cat. His ass came with a lion. He came with a lion. Yes, he came with a lion. You guys, he was sitting on a chair. I'm getting the time in Africa. Okay. I'm like, who is he? Or Egypt. But he came with a goddamn lion. Okay. And then he sat on his chair. That was his chair with his lion tamed right beside him. Okay. Just came through a goddamn portal. Okay. In my room. And he was sitting on his chair with his lion. And the lion was roaring, like making, like the mouth was open. But he had this lion tamed. And my old channel was called Queen Lioness. My other baby passed horrifically, and I believe my neighbor did it. I'm so traumatized. I had to bury him. Yes, be careful of that, April. I have did some work on people that their animals are being slaughtered out here, spiritual work, and it has stopped. Okay? I put an end to that. Oh, girl, you go, girl, lion. Yeah. So when I started my channel, it was called Queen Lioness. In Ethiopia, the empires had, yeah. So what happened was I had a life in Ethiopia, and I had all white on. And at first, I didn't know. I had a couple lives in Africa. One, I was being chased by a whole bunch of African men, and I had a baby in my hand. That was one lifetime. Then another lifetime, I was in the west part of Africa, and I was being chased, and I had the baby in my hand. And I was running, and all these African men were chasing me. I was trying to flee with my baby. Okay, and then one lifetime, I was in Ethiopia, and I had all white on. You guys, it was the most beautiful experience in Ethiopia. It was so calming. And I had all white on, and I didn't know where I was at first. I could see my clothing was all white, and I'm like, where am I at? And I seen on my embroidered on my all white dress the Ethiopian colors, and I realized I was in Ethiopia. Okay, so one of my lifetimes was in Ethiopia. One of my lifetimes was in West Africa, okay, where I was being chased. I had a child. I believe the child was a boy or a girl. I'm not sure. But I remember the holding the baby, and I was so scared to look at the baby because I was running for my life, and I just wanted to get me and my baby out of this situation. And I was in West Africa, and these African men, they were very dark skinned, they were chasing us, and I wanted to be free, meet with me and my child. It was like I was trapped, and I wasn't able to take the child. So, and it's crazy because the same thing happened in my past lifetime, happened in this lifetime. My God. Same thing. Same thing. And I'm starting to believe that because my God, I had to take my child, my boy, and my girl um, to get custody. I was leaving to Florida, and wow, you see how it repeats itself? It's a cycle. Yes, life goes in cycles. So I time, but I was his baby mom. I had a child to him. He was very controlling and abusive, but I got away from him in this lifetime. Ain't that crazy? Um, and the past lifetime, all I remember is running with my son. Okay, and my son was in many lifetimes with me, and my daughters were in many lifetimes with me. My young daughter was my mother. You guys, I cannot make this up. Wow, that's crazy how you remember. Yes, the most beautiful experience I had on any of my past lives that I do remember. I think we get trapped in like this loop. Um, so in that lifetime, I was running with my son. I believe it was my son, and I can't remember if I got away. Okay, it was so dark, and I was running in the bushes in Africa. It was in West Africa at that time, and there was a whole bunch of men chasing me. They were very dark skinned, and I was holding him, and I remember I didn't want to look at him, and I was just crying and running and running and running. It was so dark, I couldn't see my way forward. And then um, this lifetime, I had to take my son. Okay, my God, my daughter. Okay, yeah. So it's crazy how life repeats itself. Okay, it's very crazy, but it's very interesting. Okay, life goes in cycles. Yes, it does. Some cycles we remember, but some cycles we don't remember. Because I feel like if we fully remembered all our past lives, we would know the power we carry, right? And we wouldn't make the same mistakes that we made in our past lives. Do you understand what I'm saying? We would make different decisions. But the most beautiful experience I had in my past life was in Ethiopia. Okay. I believe it's like the figure eight. Yes, the infinity. And the one in Ethiopia, I was at like a temple, but I was outside the temple. And there was a whole bunch of us. And when I went, because I'm like, what was I doing at the temple? And why? And there's a whole bunch of us wearing white. Okay. So I actually looked it up. And there's a celebration in Ethiopia. And I remember that celebration. But the crazy thing was that celebration, I don't know if it was in Ethiopia or if it was in Egypt. Because I also remember a past life in Egypt. And I believe the Ethiopians are the Egyptians. And I also believe, because I remember my life in Egypt, okay? And I also believe that the Egyptians that we see now, they're not the descendants of the pharaohs. The descendants of the pharaohs are the Ethiopians and the people in Sudan, okay? Upper Egypt. But I remember my life in Ethiopia and in Egypt, okay? You can blend. I'm sure they might greet you their native language when you get there. Yes, it was very interesting. But the life I liked the most was in Egypt. And Egypt, I had to flee Egypt. And I liked it, my life in Ethiopia. Because I feel like I had to flee Egypt and go to Ethiopia. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. I had to flee Egypt to go to Ethiopia. Okay, literally. And then it was like the way everybody was. It was so loving, so caring, so spiritual. I mean, very spiritual. And then the ancient life in Atlantis, we were at war. Okay, even in Egypt, we were at war. But in Atlantis, we were at war. They destroyed Atlantis, like literally destroyed us. Um, yeah. So I believe I live several lives. I have a very old soul. Yes, a lot of us have an old soul is because we've been here a lot of times. Egypt is 4 rivers away from South Africa. Oh wow. But I don't believe the Egyptians are just in Ethiopia and just in Sudan. I believe the Ethiopians are all over Africa. So you can have somebody that's in West Africa could be descendant of the Egyptians. Okay, we even have people here that when they take their DNA test, their DNA test goes all the way back to the pharaohs. The pharaohs. The pharaohs. Okay. Um, and the Egyptians that they show you that are in Egypt, they weren't there. They migrated to Egypt. Okay. They have Turkish in them. They have Italian in them. They migrated there. Okay. My ancestors are from East Africa, Ethiopia. Yes. Um, that's like the Berber. I ran into this lady. I'll never forget it. And I said to her, I said, "You come from the Berber tribe." And she looked at me like, I met her in the hospital. And I went to the hospital, I'll never forget. I think I had a cold or something, and she was my attendee. And she came in the room, and she was talking to me. She didn't have an accent or nothing. And I said to her, I said, "Are you?" I said, "You're from the Berber tribe," and she just smiles. And she said, "How do you know that?" I said, "I just know." Yeah. But thank you guys for joining me. Put your tribe down below. Some people go, they do, it's called a pass, uh, um, pass where they put you in a trance state where they will find out when you last exited out, or they will find out your past lives. Okay. Um, and it's called past life regression. Okay. And I'm going to tell you guys something before I end this. I ran into this white lady here in Pennsylvania, and she sat at my table, right? And she's watching my channel. Hello. She sat at my table, okay? And we didn't barely talk. We said a few words, but before she left, it was interesting. I said to her, she asked me a question. I said to her, I said, I'm psychic, because I knew she was psychic, right? And she travels international around the world. She's a white lady. She does past life regression. And me and her, the only person that was in that place besides the people that work there. And she was quiet, sat at my table, and come to find out that she's just not psychic. She travels international. She's wrote books. But I find it interesting that we cross paths. I find it interesting that she sat at my table. Okay. And she said she's psychic too. She is psychic. She wrote books. She has books written out here. Okay. Um, but yeah, very interesting. Okay. Um, uh, I love my African people. I love all my people. I don't care where you're from, what background you're from. If you're good If you're a good person, it doesn't matter where you come from. Okay. It's about your personality, your frequency, right? You have good people and you have bad people, right? All right, so drop your tribe below. If any of you guys did any past life regression, um, for me, I'm going to have to go to an indigenous person to do it. I'm not going to go to anybody that is not indigenous. It has to be from an indigenous person. Okay. But if you ever went under past life regression, she does past life regression. I could ask her to do it. Um, I'm somebody says I'm kind of scared too. No. Well, you don't go by yourself. You go with somebody else. And I think it's good for us to know. Okay. I think this will be a thing in the future that people are going to do more regular. And the reason why is because you're going to understand why you do the things that you do in this lifetime, because we have memory, right? That memory carries on for many generations, right? And there's certain things that we do every day. We don't know why we do it or why we gravitate to a certain thing. And going through the past life regression, you understand, okay, why you're doing certain things or where that trauma that has been carried for many generations, okay? So if you ever went through a past life regression, comment below. For me, I feel like I need to go to indigenous person. I could ask her to do it for me. I'm also going to record it and share it when I do it. It depends though, because certain indigenous cultures, they do it privately, but I might share some of it, not all of it. Okay. Yes, somebody says, man, because this life has been suffering. Yes. So I'm going to end it here, you guys. Drop your tribe, and I'm going to do a reading on why there's so much suffering. Okay. Why we are suffering, why, and it's go into depth more, because a lot of people believe that we are being controlled in this realm, and we're here on this realm to suffer. And why is that? We need to ask those questions. Why are we suffering here? Why are we here? Why do we keep coming back into this realm of suffering? Okay. These are questions we need to ask, my friends. Okay. So I'm going to channel this energy. I've channeled this energy before, and I will channel it again and tell you what I'm seeing, my friends. Okay. And also karmic debt is, we got to stop looking at karmic and stop saying karmic and start looking at it as generational. Okay. Generational. So a lot of times our generations before us, our mother. So let's look at it like this, right? So you come from a family where you come from, so let's go to your mother, because they say it's your father's bloodline, but it's your mother and your father. The reason why I say it's more than your father's, it's more of your mother's, because every time you have a baby, each generation carries the mother's trauma. Each generation carries the mother's trauma, the good and bad. Okay, the trauma and the good things. Each generation from the mother's bloodline. Okay, that is the most important bloodline, is the mother, because when you give birth, every bloodline from your mothers, your grandmothers, is all within you. Okay. It's not the fathers. They teach you that, but it's wrong. It's the mothers. Okay. In some cultures, you are given your mother's last name, not your father's, your mother's. And the reason why they did this is for you to not heal. Okay. Yes, it is true that he stops once you have a son. Yes, which is why we pay bride price here. Yes, it's the mother. It's not the father. It's actually both, but it's the mother's comes first before the father. The feminine energy is the most important energy. Okay. The feminine. Okay. But we're in a masculine society. They want us to believe that the society is made from masculine energy, but it's not. It's made from feminine energy. Okay. And once the feminine energy is healed, the world will be healed. Okay. So let's look at it like this. Say your mother went through some kind of abuse. Okay, physically, mentally, sexually, whatever, right? Then you went through the same abuse, but your mom never spoke about the abuse. She kept it quiet. But then you come along and you might have been exposed to it, but it didn't happen to you, right? You're being protected. So you're the one that talks about it. And then you have offsprings, other daughters, right? So by you talking about what happened to your mother and not letting it happen to you and bringing awareness about it and having conversations about it, which your mother was scared to have, be out of fear, out of shame, out of embarrassment, right? But you said, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to live my life out of shame, fear, and embarrassment. I'm going to live my truth. So what happens is you heal the generations to come. Because you talk about it, you teach your children about it, and then your children take that and they do the same thing. So nothing is hidden within the family. Everything is spoken, okay? And there comes that healing energy. Not just that healing energy, that rawness and the truth energy, okay? And sometimes people don't